Poor mother takes off her own coat for her daughter on the coldest night of the year. A billionaire sees it and does the impossible. The alarm clock rang at 6 in the morning. Clara quickly shut it off before it woke up Lily. The girl was still sleeping, bundled up in the thin blanket, her blonde braids spread across the pillow, her pale little face relaxed in deep sleep. Clara dressed in silence, jeans worn at the knees, a long-sleeved shirt patched at the elbow, her only decent pair of sneakers. She picked up the worn backpack hanging on the chair and checked the contents. Resumes printed at the public library, a half-empty water bottle, Lily's vaccination card. "Mommy?" The sleepy voice came from the bed. Lily sat up, rubbing her blue eyes with the back of her small hand. "Good morning, love. We're going out early today. Are we going to find work?" "We're going to try." Lily didn't complain. She just got out of bed and started dressing herself. 5 years old, and she already knew that complaining didn't change anything. They had a quick breakfast, stale bread with water. It was all they had. Then they headed out to the still empty street, the cold morning air biting their unprotected skin. The bus arrived on time. Clara paid for both fares with the last coins she had, and they sat in the back. Lily pressed her face against the window, watching the city slowly wake up. "Where are we going first?" "To the market on Oak Street. They said they need people. Are you going to work with food?" "If they hire me, yes." The journey lasted 20 minutes. When they got off, the market was opening its metal doors. Clara checked the address on the crumpled paper and pushed the glass door. The smell of fruit and fresh bread filled the air. A man in a uniform was unloading heavy boxes near the registers. Clara approached with Lily beside her. "Good morning. I came about the vacancy." He didn't even stop working. "What vacancy?" "Shelf stocker. I saw an ad online yesterday." "Ah, we filled that yesterday." Clara's stomach dropped. "Yesterday, but the ad is still online. They forgot to take it down." "Sorry about that." He picked up another box and disappeared among the shelves, ending the conversation. Clara stood still, her hands gripping the straps of her backpack. Lily tugged at her shirt. "It didn't work out." "No, but that's okay. We'll try somewhere else." And they tried. Somewhere else, and somewhere else, and yet somewhere else. The coffee shop on Maple Street wasn't hiring. The attendant barely waited for Clara to finish speaking before shaking her head and returning to the counter. The bookstore on Central Avenue asked for sales experience. Clara had worked in a bakery for 3 years, but they said that didn't count as relevant experience. The laundry service wanted professional references. Clara had no one to give a reference. Her former boss had sold the bakery and disappeared without leaving contact information. The clothing store wouldn't even let her inside. The security guard at the door said they only accepted resumes online, not in person. With every closed door, the weight in Clara's chest grew heavier, but she kept walking. Because stopping meant accepting defeat, and she couldn't accept it. Not with Lily depending on her. Lily followed beside her, silent. Her short legs tried to keep up with her mother's pace. She didn't complain about being tired. She didn't ask to stop. She just held Clara's hand tightly and trusted. The sun was high when they stopped at a small park. Clara sat on a wooden bench and took the water bottle out of her backpack. She offered it to Lily first. "Drink." The girl took a few long gulps. Clara drank the rest, even though she knew there would be no more until they got home. "Mommy, I'm hungry." Clara opened her backpack and found half a packet of crushed crackers at the bottom. She gave them all to her daughter. "Here you go, love. Eat it all." "Aren't you going to eat?" "I already ate this morning." "You can eat." A lie. Clara hadn't eaten properly for days, but Lily needed it more. The girl chewed slowly, savoring every piece. Clara looked up at the sky. Heavy clouds were forming on the horizon. "Are we going to more places?" "Just a few more. I promise we'll go back soon." They visited a pharmacy. They had no vacancies, a gas station. They only hired men for the night shift, an ice cream parlor. The manager looked Clara up and down and said she was too old for the profile they were looking for. Too old. At 28, Clara felt anger rise in her throat, but she swallowed it. Anger didn't pay the bills. They visited 2 more places, a small bakery with no money to hire, a hardware store that already had enough staff. The sun began to set. The shadows grew long on the sidewalks. Lily was dragging her feet, exhaustion winning out. "Mommy, can we go home now?" Clara looked at her daughter, at her tired blue eyes, at her drooping shoulders. "Yes, love. Let's go." They caught the bus back. Lily fell asleep on Clara's shoulder before the bus even left the stop. Clara looked out the window, her mind empty of thoughts. Another day without an answer. Another day without hope. The bus stopped at the usual corner. Clara gently woke Lily. "We're here, love." They got off and walked the 2 blocks to the building. Their steps slow, automatic. Clara climbed the 3 steps to the entrance and pushed the glass door, but the door didn't open. She pushed again. Nothing. It was locked. "Mommy!" She pulled the doorknob hard. The door remained locked. Her heart sped up. She rang the intercom, pressed the button for the apartment. Silence. She pressed it again, holding it longer. Nothing. "Ms. Rhodes," the voice came from inside. The building manager approached down the hallway, keys jingling on his belt. He unlocked the door, but didn't open it completely. He blocked the entrance with his body. "Mr. Morton, I need to go upstairs. Lily is very tired." "You don't live here anymore." The words fell like stones, heavy. "Now what do you mean?" 3 months overdue. The management company tried to contact you. The lock was changed this afternoon." The world spun. Clara held onto the doorframe. "Changed." "Management's order. You have been evicted." "But I was going to pay. I was looking for a job every day." "You should have looked sooner." Lily pulled hard on her mother's shirt. "Mommy, what's happening?" Clara knelt down, holding her daughter's small shoulders. "Nothing, love. Stay here for a moment." She stood up and faced the manager, her voice trembling. "Mr. Morton, please, just let me grab Lily's clothes. That's all. She needs clean clothes. I can't let you. She's 5 years old. At least her things. Your belongings are stored for 30 days. After that, if payment is not settled, they will be discarded. It's all in the contract." "I can't wait 30 days. We need our things now." "I'm sorry. Those are the rules." He stepped back and closed the door. The click of the lock echoed. Clara stood there, looking at her distorted reflection in the glass. She knocked on the door. "Mr. Morton." Nothing. She knocked again, harder. "Please, just her clothes." Silence. She knocked a 3rd time, her voice breaking. "Please." No one came. Lily started crying softly. Clara turned and hugged her, feeling the small body tremble. "Shh, love. It's going to be okay. I want to go home." I know. Why won't he let us in?" "Because we are going to stay somewhere else tonight. It will be different." "What place?" Clara had no answer. She took her daughter's hand and slowly descended the steps. She stopped on the sidewalk and looked up. The windows on the 3rd floor were dark. The apartment where Lily was born, where she took her first steps, where she drew at the living room table. Everything was inside. The clothes, the blankets, Lily's drawings, the photos, the documents, all locked up, inaccessible. "Shall we go, Mommy?" Clara blinked. She nodded. She started walking. She didn't know where to go. She just walked. The streets became empty as night approached. The wind blew cold, lifting dry leaves around the corners. Clara pulled the zipper of Lily's jacket up to her chin and smoothed her blonde braids. "Are we going to walk far?" "No, love, just a little way." But it was a lie. There was no destination. They walked for several blocks. Clara didn't think. She just put one foot in front of the other, holding her daughter's hand. She stopped in front of a closed store. She took out her cell phone. The screen lit up, 12% battery. She opened the bank app, overdrawn balance. No money, no home, nothing but the clothes on their backs. Lily sat down on the sidewalk, hugging her knees. "Mommy, I'm hungry." Clara opened her backpack. Empty. She had given everything to Lily during the day. "We'll eat soon, okay?" Another lie. They kept walking. The cold increased every minute. Lily began to shiver. "It's too cold, Mommy." I know, we'll find a warm place. But where? Every place was closed or filled with suspicious looks. They passed an empty park, the swings creaking in the wind, a pharmacy closing its doors, streets that looked all the same in the gloom. Clara saw a bench in front of a convenience store. Shall we sit for a bit? Lily nodded, relieved. They sat on the cold bench. Lily leaned her head on her mother's shoulder. She trembled non-stop. Clara looked at her daughter. At her cheeks red from the cold, at her lips starting to turn pale. Without thinking, she took off her own jacket. "Mommy, no!" "Put it on. You'll get cold." "I'm fine. Put it on now." She wrapped the jacket around Lily, covering her shoulders, her legs. The girl disappeared into the fabric. "Mommy, you're shaking." Clara forced a smile, her teeth chattering. "The important thing is for you to be warm." The wind blew hard, cutting. Clara crossed her arms. It was no use. The cold seeped into her bones. Lily closed her eyes, trying to sleep, to escape the exhaustion and hunger. "We're going to be okay," Clara whispered. "We always are." But she no longer believed it. Time passed slowly. Cars drove by. People walked quickly. No one looked. Clara shivered violently. Her hands were numb. Her lips cracked. Her whole body ached. Lily fell asleep from exhaustion. Clara felt the weight of her daughter's head against her shoulder and didn't move. It was then that he appeared. A black car stopped at the light. The man at the wheel saw the woman shivering on the bench, the child wrapped in a large coat, their pale faces under the lamppost light. Ethan Bennett remained still when the light turned green. Someone honked. He didn't move. He couldn't take his eyes off that scene. Something tightened in his chest. He parked on the corner and got out of the car. Clara didn't even notice when he approached. She only heard the low voice, "Excuse me." She looked up, startled. A tall man stood there, hands in his pockets. "Sorry to bother you. Are you two okay?" Clara hesitated. "We're just resting." Ethan looked at Lily sleeping, at Clara shivering uncontrollably. He took off his jacket without thinking. "Here. You don't have to. Take it. You're freezing." Clara took the jacket with trembling hands. She put it on. The warmth was instant. She almost cried. Ethan knelt down, meeting her eyes. "Have you had dinner?" Clara shook her head. He looked at the diner across the street. Warm light leaked from the windows. "I haven't had dinner either. Shall we go eat something warm?" "Why? Why do you want to help?" "Because it's cold. Because you need it." The sincerity in his voice was disarming. Lily woke up with the voices. She saw the stranger and flinched. "Who is he?" "He's someone who wants to help." Ethan nodded with a gentle smile. "Hi." "My name is Ethan." Lily blinked her tired blue eyes. "Hi." Ethan looked at Clara. "How about some nice warm soup? I bet it would do you good." Clara looked at Lily, at her tired, hungry, and cold face. "All right, we accept." Ethan smiled. "Let's go then." They crossed the street together. The diner was small and simple, but the warmth that enveloped them when they entered was like a hug. The smell of food filled the air. A middle-aged woman led them to a table near the window. Lily climbed onto the chair and rested her hands on the table, soaking up the heat, her eyes shining. Ethan ordered without looking at the menu, 3 vegetable soups, bread, hot chocolate for her, 2 coffees. The woman wrote it down and left smiling. They remained silent for a moment. Lily swung her legs. "Are you a good guy?" Ethan blinked, surprised, and then laughed. "I try to be. My mommy said, not everyone is good." "Your mommy is right, but there are good people too." Clara watched quietly. Why was he doing this? "Why did you stop?" she asked softly. Ethan looked at her with sincerity. "I can't explain it. I just couldn't drive away." The food arrived. Steaming soups with vapor rising, warm bread, creamy hot chocolate. Lily attacked the soup with her spoon. Clara ate slowly, each spoonful burning her throat but spreading warmth through her body. The heat was almost painful after being so cold, but it was good. It was life returning. Ethan ate in silence, watching the two of them. "How long have you two been on the streets?" Since today, we were evicted this afternoon. We couldn't get anything, just the clothes on our backs. Ethan frowned, worried, but didn't ask any more questions. He just nodded respectfully. They finished the meal in silence. Lily wiped her bowl clean and yawned loudly. I'm sleepy again. Ethan paid the bill without looking at the amount. They left together into the cold night. On the sidewalk, he stopped and looked at Clara. Do you have somewhere to sleep tonight? Clara shook her head, shame burning her face. Ethan took a deep breath, making a decision. Come with me. I have a guest room. You can stay there tonight. We can't accept... You can. It's too cold for you to be on the street, especially for her. Clara looked at Lily, almost asleep on her feet. All right, we accept. Thank you. Ethan smiled. Let's go. They walked to the car. Lily fell asleep in the back seat before her seatbelt was even fastened. Clara sat in the front, looking out the window, silent tears streaming down her face, and for the first time on that long, impossible day, she felt something she hadn't felt in weeks: hope. The car slid through the quiet streets. Lily slept soundly in the back seat, wrapped in the jackets. Clara looked out the window, watching the city lights pass like golden blurs. Ethan drove in silence, focused. Every now and then, his eyes shifted to the rearview mirror, checking on the girl. Then he looked at Clara, who kept her arms crossed, still trembling slightly. It won't be long now, he said softly. Clara just nodded. 10 minutes later, Ethan turned onto a quiet residential street. Well-kept houses, small gardens, cars parked in driveways. A calm neighborhood, safe. He parked in front of a 2-story house. Nothing extravagant, but comfortable. The porch light was on. We're here. Ethan got out first and carefully opened the back door. Lily didn't even stir when he picked her up. The girl just sighed and rested her head on his shoulder, still lost in sleep. Clara got out of the car, holding the empty backpack against her chest. She followed Ethan to the front door, her steps uncertain. He opened the door and walked in, turning on the lights. The house was simple but welcoming. Living room with a gray sofa, a bookshelf with books, a television. Everything clean as is organized. This way, Ethan whispered, going up the stairs. Clara followed him, each step heavy. On the second floor, Ethan turned right and opened a door. He turned on the bedroom light. It was a guest room, a double bed with clean sheets, a wardrobe, a bedside table, window with light curtains. Simple, but infinitely better than a bench on the street. Ethan gently laid Lily on the bed. The girl curled up, searching for the pillow without waking up. He pulled the blanket over her. She's exhausted, he said softly. She is. It's been a long day. Ethan turned to Clara. I'll grab some extra blankets and towels. The bathroom is over there. He pointed to a door next to them. There's hot water, soap, everything you need. You don't have to. I know, but I want to help. Clara looked at him, at the sincerity in his eyes, at the way he wasn't asking for anything in return. Why? She asked again. Why are you doing all this? Ethan was quiet for a moment, searching for the words. Because I can, because you need it, and because... He hesitated. Because it's the right thing to do. It wasn't a complete answer, but it was honest. He left the room and returned a few minutes later with his arms full. Folded blankets, soft towels, a women's pajama set still with the tag. My sister left this here a while ago, never came to pick it up. He placed everything on the bed. Maybe it will fit you. Clara picked up the pajamas. They were soft, smelling of lavender. Thank you. The closet has more blankets if you need them. The kitchen is open. If you're hungry in the middle of the night, you can take whatever you want. You've done too much already. Ethan shook his head. It's still not enough. He walked to the door and stopped, looking back. Clara? It was the first time he had said her name. Yes? Stay here as long as you need to. It's too cold out there. His voice was firm. It wasn't pity. It was conviction. Clara felt her throat tighten. We don't want to be a bother. You're not. You don't even know us. Ethan gave a small smile. Now I do. He left, closing the door gently. Clara stood in the middle of the room, holding the pajamas. She looked at Lily sleeping in the bed, at the clean blankets, at the stacked towels, at the bathroom door. For the first time in months, she didn't have to worry about where to sleep. She didn't have to plan the next step. She could just breathe. The tears came suddenly, silent, hot, releasing everything she had held in all day. The humiliation of the eviction, the fear of the street, the hunger, the cold. Everything came out in muffled sobs that she tried to hold back so as not to wake Lily. She sat on the edge of the bed and cried with her face in her hands. She didn't know how much time passed, but when she stood up, she felt lighter, exhausted, but light. She went to the bathroom. It was small, but impeccable. Towels hanging, new soap in the dish, shampoo and conditioner in the shower. Clara turned on the shower. The hot water fell over her like a blessing. It washed away the sweat, the dirt, the accumulated exhaustion. She stayed there until the water started to cool. She got out, dried herself, and put on the pajamas. They fit perfectly. She looked at the fogged mirror. She saw a thin, pale woman with deep, dark circles, but she was clean and warm. She returned to the bedroom. Lily was still sleeping, breathing softly. Clara lay down beside her daughter, pulling the blanket over both of them. The bed was soft. The sheets smelled of clean laundry. The pillow cradled her tired head. Clara closed her eyes and, for the first time in weeks, slept without fear. The morning light filtered through the window. Clara woke up confused, not recognizing where she was. Then she remembered Ethan's house, the guest room, the unexpected kindness. Lily was still sleeping beside her, bundled up in the blanket. Clara got up slowly so as not to wake her. She checked her phone, 8:17 am, and it still had 8% battery. She got dressed in the same clothes from yesterday. She had no choice. She carefully walked down the stairs, following the smell of coffee. The kitchen was small and bright. Ethan was standing in front of the stove, stirring something in a pot. He wore a simple t-shirt and sweatpants. He looked different without the business jacket, more approachable. "Good morning," he said without turning around. "Sleep well?" "Yes, better than expected." "Good." He turned around, holding a pot. "I made oatmeal. I hope you like it." He placed the pot on the table along with bowls and spoons, a jug of orange juice, toast, butter, jam. "You didn't have to do all that." "I know, but I was making it anyway." Clara sat at the table, still processing. None of this seemed real. Is Lily still sleeping? Yes, she was very tired. Ethan nodded. Let her rest. Kids need sleep. He served oatmeal in a bowl and pushed it toward Clara. "Eat. You must be hungry." Clara picked up the spoon. The first spoonful was perfect. Hot, sweet, comforting. "It's good," she said. "That's good." They ate in comfortable silence. Ethan didn't ask questions. He didn't pressure her. He just let her eat in peace. When Clara finished, he stood up. "Oh, I left some clothes in the room. I found some things that might fit you two." "Nothing much, but they're clean." "Ethan, you don't have to—" "I know, but it's done." He took her bowl and carried it to the sink. "Feel free to relax here. I'm going to work in the office for a bit, but if you need anything, just call out." "You work from home?" "Sometimes. Today I decided to work from here." Clara realized he had changed his plans because of them. "We don't want to disrupt your work." "You're not." He left the kitchen, leaving Clara alone. She looked around, the refrigerator with magnets, the wooden table, the window overlooking the backyard. Everything seemed normal, ordinary. But for her, it was extraordinary. She went back upstairs to the room. Lily was waking up, rubbing her eyes. "Mommy? Good morning, love. Where are we?" "At Ethan's house. Remember him? The man who helped us yesterday." Lily looked around, processing. "It's pretty here." "It is." On the chair, Clara saw the clothes Ethan had left. A pair of sweatpants, a long-sleeved shirt, both women's but simple, and for Lily, a light pink children's set, a small coat. "He left clothes for us," Clara said, surprised. She helped Lily get changed. The clothes were a bit big, but they fit. They were clean and smelled good. They went down to the kitchen together. Ethan was serving oatmeal in a small bowl. Good morning, Lily. Good morning. Are you hungry? She nodded shyly. Ethan placed the bowl on the table. Eat slowly, it's warm. Lily ate heartily, swinging her legs in the chair. Ethan took paper and colored pencils from a drawer. Do you like to draw? Lily's blue eyes sparkled. I do. Then here you go. You can draw whatever you want. He placed the materials on the table. Lily picked up the pencils with her small hands and started drawing immediately. Ethan looked at Clara. Coffee? Please. He poured a cup and handed it to her. He sat on the other side of the table, sipping his own coffee, watching Lily draw. The girl worked concentrated, her tongue between her teeth. She chose colors carefully. She drew simple but recognizable shapes. After a few minutes, she held up the paper. Done. Can I see? Ethan asked. Lily nodded proudly. It was a simple drawing. 3 stick figures, one tall with short hair, 2 smaller ones with long hair, all smiling, a yellow sun in the corner, a house in the background. It's the 3 of us, Lily announced. You, me, and Mommy. Clara felt her heart clench. Ethan looked at the drawing for a long moment. It's very beautiful, Lily. You can keep it, really. Uh-huh, so you can remember us. Ethan held the paper carefully. I'll put it in a special place then. He stood up and went to the refrigerator. He grabbed a magnet and stuck the drawing right in the center. Lily clapped. Now you'll see it every day. I sure will. Clara watched everything in silence. The way Ethan treated Lily with natural kindness, how he didn't make a fuss, how he simply welcomed them. There were no invasive questions. There was no judgment. There was no pressure, just acceptance. Ethan returned to the table. Do you have plans for today? Clara hesitated. I need to look for a job again. And see if I can sort out the apartment situation. Do you need a ride? No, Clara. He looked into her eyes. Let me help. It doesn't have to be hard. She wanted to refuse, but she was tired of being proud, tired of fighting alone. All right, thank you. Ethan smiled. No problem. I'll work a little longer, but then we'll head out. He stood up and left the kitchen. Lily picked up another piece of paper and started a new drawing. Clara drank her coffee, watching her daughter. She looked at the refrigerator. At the drawing stuck there, 3 people smiling. A family that wasn't family, but which, at that moment, felt like one. And for the first time in a long time, Clara allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, things could get better. Lily hummed softly as she drew. The house was warm. The coffee was good, and for a few hours they could simply be, without fear, without cold, without hunger, just existing in peace, and that was more than Clara had dared to hope for. Clara walked down the stairs with her backpack on her shoulder. She had put on the clothes Ethan had left and tied her hair in a simple ponytail. She looked more presentable than yesterday, at least. Ethan was in the living room, working on his laptop. Lily sat on the floor next to him, surrounded by papers and colored pencils. I'm heading out, Clara announced. Ethan looked up. Job hunting. Yes, there are a few places I want to try. Lily can stay here with me, no problem. Clara looked at her daughter, hesitant. Are you okay with Ethan, love? Lily nodded without lifting her eyes from the drawing. I am, he's nice. Ethan smiled. We'll manage. You go ahead. Clara bit her lip. Thank you. I'll be back soon. No rush. And here? He took a $20 bill from his wallet. For bus fare. And in case you need anything. Ethan, I can't. You can, and you will need it. She took the money, gratitude tightening her throat. Thank you, truly. Good luck. Clara left, closing the door behind her. The morning was cold but clear. Clara took the bus downtown and started her route. She had a mental list of places to try. First, a new coffee shop she had seen yesterday. The sign in the window read, Hiring. Clara entered, hopeful. The manager was a young woman with glasses. Good morning, I came about the vacancy. The woman looked at her. Do you have coffee experience? Not directly, but I worked for 3 years in a bakery. I know how to handle customers, cash register, organization. We need someone who knows how to make specialty drinks, latte art, that kind of thing. I can learn quickly. The woman shook her head. Sorry, we need someone with experience already. Clara left empty-handed. She tried a convenience store. The manager said he only hired for the night shift, and Clara had a child, she couldn't do it. She tried a restaurant. They asked for references she didn't have. She tried a veterinary clinic. They said the position had been filled last week. With every rejection, the weight in her chest increased. At 2 in the afternoon, Clara sat on a park bench and ate a cheap sandwich she bought from a cart. She looked at her phone. No messages, no good news. She kept trying. A library. They needed volunteers, not paid staff. A gym. They wanted someone with certification. A stationery store. They told her to come back next week. Maybe they would have a spot. When the sun began to set, Clara gave up. She caught the bus back, her body tired and her mind exhausted. She arrived at Ethan's house late in the afternoon. The warm light of the living room was on. She knocked on the door, and Ethan opened it. Hi. How did it go? Clara just shook her head. I see. Come in. She entered, taking off her sneakers. Lily was on the sofa, watching cartoons. Seeing her mother, she ran and hugged her. Mommy, you took a long time. Sorry, love. I was looking for work. Did you get one? Not yet, but I will. Lily went back to the sofa. Ethan looked at Clara. Come, sit for a bit. She followed him to the kitchen. Ethan filled the kettle and put it on the stove. Tea, please. He grabbed 2 mugs and tea bags. When the water boiled, he poured it into the mugs and handed one to Clara. Thank you. They sat at the table. Clara held the mug with both hands, soaking up the heat. Ethan didn't say anything. He just drank his own tea, waiting. After a long silence, Clara sighed. I tried 8 places today. 8. None of them worked out. Why? Lack of experience, lack of references, lack of certification. There's always something missing. Ethan nodded, listening. One woman looked at me like I was trash. She didn't even let me finish talking. Some people are like that. I just want to work, that's all. I'm not asking for a favor. I just want a chance. Her voice trembled. Ethan remained silent, giving her space to talk. I worked for 3 years at the same bakery. I never missed a day. I never complained. I did everything they asked, and then the owner sold the place and I lost everything. No warning, nothing. That must have been hard. It was. And now no one wants to give me a chance. It's like I'm useless. Ethan shook his head. You're not, they just can't see it. Clara looked at him. How do you know? Because you didn't give up. Even after everything. You got up today and went out to try. That says it all. She felt her eyes sting. Sometimes I don't know if it will work out. If I'll be able to give Lily a decent life. You will. How are you so sure? Because you love her. And those who love don't give up. Clara took a sip of the tea, feeling the warmth go down her throat. It's been a long time since anyone asked me how my day was. Ethan smiled lightly. How was your day, Clara? She laughed, a tired but genuine sound. It was horrible, but it's getting better now. I'm glad. They sat in comfortable silence, drinking tea. From the living room came the sound of the cartoon and Lily's occasional laughter. Did she behave well? Clara asked. Perfectly. She drew all day, ate the snack I made, watched TV. It was quiet. Thank you for looking after her. You don't need to thank me. I do, you've done so much. Ethan took the last sip of his tea. Clara, can I say something? Sure. You don't have to go out every day looking for a job alone. I have contacts, I know people. I can make some calls and see if anyone is hiring. Clara hesitated. I don't want you to feel obligated. I don't. I want to help. Why? Why do you want to help us so much? Ethan was quiet for a moment, thinking, because I can, because you deserve it, and because, he paused, because it's what I would want someone to do for me if I were in your place. The honesty in his voice was disarming. Clara nodded slowly. All right. If you know someone, I accept the help. I'll call a few people tomorrow. Thank you, Ethan. You're welcome. He stood up and took the empty mugs. I'm going to make dinner. How about pasta? Lily will love it. Then pasta it is. Clara watched as he started preparing, grabbing pots, filling them with water, separating ingredients, all with calm, precise movements. She stood up and went to the living room. Lily was lying on the sofa, almost asleep. Are you tired, love? A little bit. Clara sat next to her daughter and stroked her blonde hair. Was it a good day? It was. Ethan let me draw and we watched a movie. That's good. Mommy. Yes. Are we going to stay here? Clara paused. Hey, for now, yes. Until Mommy finds a job. I like it here. Me too. Lily yawned. Ethan is nice. He doesn't yell, and he makes tasty food. Clara smiled. That's true. I think he likes us. I think so too. Lily closed her eyes, snuggling up on the sofa. Clara continued stroking her daughter's hair, thinking, Ethan hadn't asked when they were leaving. He hadn't asked for anything in return. He hadn't made them feel like a burden. He just welcomed them, simply. From the kitchen came the smell of tomato sauce and garlic, the sound of boiling water, the simple routine of preparing a meal. For the first time in a long time, Clara allowed herself to relax, just a little, just for a moment. Tomorrow, she would try again. She would look for a job. She would fight for survival. But today, in this moment, she could just sit with her daughter and breathe. And that was enough. 3 days passed since Clara and Lily arrived. The house's routine subtly changed, as if it were adjusting to accommodate 3 people instead of 1. It was evening. Lily was asleep in the guest room, exhausted after a whole day of drawing and playing. Clara and Ethan were in the living room, each on one end of the sofa. The television was on, but neither of them was really paying attention. Did you always want to work in construction? Clara asked suddenly, breaking the comfortable silence. Ethan looked at her, surprised by the question. No, actually, I wanted to be an architect when I was a kid. And why didn't you become one? My dad had other plans. He owned a construction company. He said an architect was too much of a dreamer, that construction was real business and with real money. And you just accepted it. Ethan gave a humorless smile. I was 17. I didn't think I had a choice. My dad was determined. When he decided something, that's how it was going to be. Clara nodded, understanding that kind of pressure. Do you like what you do now? Sometimes it's stable. It pays very well. But it's not what I dreamed of as a kid. It's not about creating something beautiful, you know. It's just building profit goals. He paused, looking at his own hands. What about you? Did you always work in a bakery? No. I wanted to be a teacher. Seriously? Yeah. I always loved kids. I wanted to teach, to make a difference in their lives, to give them what I didn't have. What happened? Clara looked at her own hands, fingers intertwined. I got pregnant at 22. I was in college, working part-time to pay for it. Lily's father disappeared before she was born. Suddenly, I had a mouth to feed, diapers to buy, and no degree. I dropped out of college. The bakery was what was available, and I needed to survive. That must have been very difficult. It was. It still is. But Lily has always been worth every sacrifice. Ethan was quiet, absorbing her story. Did you never have any help? Family? Friends? Clara shook her head slowly. My mom died when I was 15. Cancer. My dad was never around. I don't even know where he is. I grew up in foster homes until I could get out on my own at 18. I'm sorry, Clara. You don't have to be. I made peace with that a long time ago. But there was a deep sadness in her voice that suggested otherwise. Ethan leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. I understand a little. About loneliness, I mean, you. But you had family. I did. On paper, my parents were distant. They had a lot of money, but no time. I was raised by nannies who changed every 6 months. I grew up in a huge house that was completely empty of affection. That sounds very lonely. It was. I spent my days alone in my room playing with building blocks, trying to build whole cities. I guess that's where my interest in architecture started. It was my way of creating a world better than mine. Clara looked at him with new eyes. And now? Do you have family? I have a younger sister. She lives in another state, has her own life. We talk sometimes on the phone, but we're not close. We never were, actually. And friends? Ethan hesitated, thinking. I have colleagues from work, but real friends, not many. I kind of closed myself off over the years. It was easier. Why? I think it's easier not to let anyone in than to risk being disappointed. If you don't expect anything from anyone, no one can leave you. Clara understood perfectly. It was exactly how she had lived for years. Single motherhood is like that too, she said softly. You learn quickly not to count on anyone, because when you finally trust, when you open your heart, people disappear. Did Lily's father never try to make contact? Never. Not a single call, not a single message. He simply said he wasn't ready to be a father and disappeared, just like that. As if we didn't matter. That must have hurt a lot. It hurt, but I had Lily growing inside me, and she needed me whole, not broken, so I picked up the pieces and moved on. Ethan looked at her with genuine admiration. You are incredibly strong. I'm not. I just do what needs to be done. There's nothing special about that. That is exactly what makes you strong. They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes. On the TV, some random program played without volume. You know what's funny? Clara said. It's been years since I've talked to someone like this. Like what? For real, without masks. Without pretending everything is fine when it's not. Ethan smiled. Me neither. It feels good. It's freeing. It is. The next day, Ethan left early for an important meeting at the office. Clara stayed home with Lily, tidying up the room and trying not to feel completely useless. In the afternoon, she decided to do something productive. She opened Ethan's refrigerator. There were basic ingredients, nothing too elaborate, but enough to make a decent and tasty dinner. When Ethan returned at 6 in the evening, he found the table carefully set. Clara was finishing preparing a simple but fragrant stew. What is this? He asked, genuinely surprised. Dinner. I thought I could repay a little of everything you've done. You didn't have to do that. I know, but I wanted to. Let me do something for you too. Ethan smiled, taking off his coat and hanging it on the chair. It smells really good. It's just stew, nothing much. For me, it's a lot. It's been a long time since anyone cooked for me. The three of them sat down at the table. Lily ate with appetite, swinging her legs that didn't reach the floor. Uncle Ethan, did you see my new drawing? Clara stopped with her spoon in the air. Uncle Ethan. It was the first time. Ethan noticed too. He looked at Lily with surprise and something more. Something gentle and warming. I haven't seen it yet. Can you show me after dinner? I can. I drew a giant dog with wings. Wow. I can't wait to see that dog. Clara observed the interaction. Lily was so comfortable, so happy, calling Ethan uncle, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. And Ethan didn't seem to mind at all. On the contrary, he seemed honored. After dinner, Ethan disappeared for a few minutes to his car. He came back carrying a bag. Lily, I brought something for you. The girl's blue eyes sparkled with anticipation. What? What? He took 3 colorful children's books out of the bag. What, I thought you might like to have new books to read before bed. Lily took the books with reverence, as if they were treasures, running her small fingers over the illustrated covers. Are these all for me? They are. Really? Can I keep them? Really, they're yours. She hugged the books against her chest, holding them tight. Thank you, Uncle Ethan. Thank you, thank you. Clara felt her heart clench painfully. It had been months since she could buy absolutely anything for Lily. Not a simple book, not a cheap toy. Ethan, you didn't have to do that. I know I didn't have to, but I wanted to. He used exactly the same words she had used about the dinner. Lily ran to the sofa and immediately started flipping through the books, fascinated by the illustrations. Ethan approached Clara in the kitchen, where she was starting to wash the dishes. She loved it, he said. She really did. Seriously. Thank you. You have no idea what that means. It was just a few books. No. It was much more than that. Clara dried her hands on the cloth and turned to face him. Why do you do all this? Do what? Everything. The books. The food. Letting us stay here for free. Treating us like we matter. Why? Ethan was quiet for a long moment, choosing his words carefully. Because it's been a long time since this house had real life in it. It was always just a place where I sleep. And you two brought life inside these walls. The raw sincerity in his voice completely disarmed her. But we can't stay forever. You know that. I know. And while we're here, yes, thank you for absolutely everything. Ethan smiled gently. You're welcome, Clara. The following days brought an oddly comfortable and natural routine. Ethan left for work every morning. Clara stayed with Lily, playing, drawing, watching cartoons, inventing games. In the afternoon, she went out to look for a job while Lily stayed with Ethan, who had started working more from home. The job attempts continued to be frustrating, but Clara never gave up. In the evening, the three of them had dinner together. They talked about the day. They laughed at silly things. Lily told wild, nonsensical stories that made them genuinely smile. Ethan began to notice something strange happening to him. When he was at the office during meetings, he would catch himself thinking about them, imagining what Lily was drawing at that moment. If Clara had had any luck in her job search, if they were okay. Sometimes, in the middle of a serious meeting full of numbers and graphs, his phone would vibrate with a picture that Lily had asked Clara to send. A new colorful drawing, a completely crooked origami, small unimportant things, and he would smile. In the middle of the tense meeting, surrounded by grim-faced executives, he would genuinely smile looking at a child's drawing of a butterfly. Colleagues started to notice, to ask if he was okay, if something good had happened, and it had, something very good. One evening, Clara was in the kitchen making tea when Ethan arrived home much later than usual. Sorry, I'm late. The meeting went on for hours. No problem at all. Lily fell asleep a long time ago. Ah. There was clear disappointment in his voice. Clara smiled knowingly. But she left a new drawing for you on the table. Ethan walked over and found the paper carefully placed. It was him, Clara, and Lily holding hands under a huge, smiling sun. Above it, written in large, crooked letters, My family. He stood still, looking at the drawing for a long time without saying anything. Clara approached slowly. She insisted on writing it. She spent half an hour trying to form the letters. She said you are part of her family now. I am. To her, yes. Without a doubt. Ethan folded the drawing with extreme care and put it away in his wallet, in the inner pocket. And to you, he asked softly. Clara hesitated for only a second. Jed, you've been more family to us in 1 week than many people have been in our whole lives. I'm very happy to hear that. She poured hot tea for both of them, and they sat at the table as they had done so many times. Can I ask you a question? Ethan said after a few minutes. Sure. You mentioned you were laid off from the bakery. But you never told me exactly how it happened. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but I would like to understand better. Clara visibly tensed. She held the mug tighter than necessary. It's a little complicated. It's okay. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. No, I can talk about it. She took a deep breath, bracing herself. The bakery where I worked was in a very old neighborhood of the city. The owner was a lovely gentleman who had owned the place for over 30 years. I had worked there for 3 years. We were practically family. He treated me like a daughter. Ethan listened with complete attention. One day he called me to the back room. He had tears in his eyes. He said he had sold the entire building, that a large construction company was going to demolish everything and build a huge commercial building in its place, that I had only 2 weeks of notice. That's right, and without any severance. He said he didn't have money for anything. That the sale of the building barely covered the huge debts he had accumulated. That is completely illegal. Yes, I know. But What was I supposed to do? Sue a broken, sick old man? With what money? With what time? I had a small daughter to take care of. Ethan frowned deeply, processing every word. And that's how you ended up without a job? Exactly, overnight. I tried desperately to find another job, but nothing worked out. My tiny savings ran out in weeks. The rent started to fall behind, and you already know the rest of the story. I'm sorry, Clara. I really am. It wasn't your fault. But there was something different in Ethan's expression, something troubled that Clara couldn't quite decipher. Are you okay? She asked, worried. Yes, just thinking about some things. About what? About how life can be terribly unfair sometimes, to the wrong people. Clara gave a sad, tired smile. It can be, but we keep going. They lapsed into a heavy silence. Ethan seemed distant, clearly lost in deep thought. Clara didn't insist. She finished her tea slowly and stood up. I'm going to bed. Good night, Ethan. Good night. She went up the stairs, leaving Ethan completely alone in the kitchen. He stayed there for almost an hour, staring intently at the empty mug, thinking deeply about the story Clara had just told. A large construction company that demolished an old bakery. That took away an entire family's livelihood without adequate warning. A construction company. He felt an overwhelming weight in his chest, a horrible suspicion beginning to form and take shape. But no, it couldn't be that. He shook his head hard, trying to shake off the disturbing thought. It was just a coincidence. It had to be just a coincidence. He finally went up to his room, but it took endless hours to fall asleep. In the days that followed, the house continued to be filled with small, meaningful gestures. Ethan fixed an old, broken toy of Lily's. Clara washed and ironed all his clothes that had been piling up for weeks. Lily drew a personalized picture for every room in the house. The silence of the house completely changed in quality. It was no longer that empty, heavy silence of loneliness. It was companionable silence, comfortable, full of presence. Ethan discovered that he genuinely liked coming home now, that he eagerly awaited the crystal-clear sound of Lily's laughter, that he deeply appreciated the nightly conversations with Clara. Clara slowly discovered that she could trust again, that not all people leave, that maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to carry everything alone all the time. And Lily just loved, simply, completely, as only a child can do. But there was an important unspoken thing hanging in the air, a hidden truth that Ethan felt growing between them. He didn't press to know. He completely respected Clara's space and time, but he felt deeply that there was more to the whole story. Something crucial she still hadn't fully told him, and he had a growing fear of discovering exactly what it was, because something deep inside him, a small but insistent and impossible to ignore voice, told him that he already knew the answer. And if his terrible suspicions were right, he had no idea how he was going to be able to deal with that truth. So for now, he just lived each day, enjoyed the family dinners, the colorful drawings on the refrigerator, the sincere conversations at night. And he silently prayed that when the inevitable truth finally came out, it wouldn't completely destroy everything they were building together. It had been a week since Clara and Lily arrived. The routine had established itself naturally, comfortably. But there was something pending in the air, an unfinished conversation that needed to happen. Ethan arrived home earlier than usual that day. Lily was in the room drawing. Clara was making coffee in the kitchen. Clara, can I talk to you? There was something different in his voice. Serious, heavy. Sure. Did something happen? Sit down, please. She sat at the table, worried. Ethan sat in front of her, his hands clasped. I need to know something. About the bakery. Clara frowned. What about it? You said you were laid off because they sold the property to a construction company. I told you that. I know, but I need to know where it was located. Why? Ethan took a deep breath. Please. What was the name of the neighborhood? Clara hesitated, confused by his urgency. River Heights. Near Oak Street and Central Avenue. Why? The blood drained from Ethan's face. Clara realized immediately. "Ethan, what is it?" He remained silent, a long, heavy, suffocating silence. "Ethan, you're scaring me." He finally looked at her, and there was something devastating in his eyes. "That project was mine." The words fell like bombs. Clara blinked. "What?" "The construction company that bought the building. The demolition and construction project for the commercial building. It was mine. I was the one responsible." The world stopped. Clara stared at him, trying to process. You were the one who took my job." "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know there were people living there. That there was a business operating. I just saw numbers, blueprints, contracts. You destroyed my life." Her voice came out cold, controlled, but trembling inside. Ethan ran his hands over his face. "I didn't know, Clara. You have to believe me. I managed so many projects, I signed so many contracts. I never thought about the people behind it." "You never thought why?" she repeated, the anger starting to rise. "How many families did you destroy without thinking, Ethan?" "I don't know. God, I don't know." Clara stood up, her legs shaking. "We need to leave." "No, wait. We can't stay here, not after this." "Clara, please, let me fix this." "Fix it? How are you going to fix it? Are you going to give me back my job? Are you going to erase the last few months of hell?" "No, but I can do something. Let me try." Clara shook her head, tears starting to fall. "I trusted you. I know. I let my daughter trust you. I know, and I'm sorry. More than I can express." Lily appeared at the kitchen door, holding a drawing. "Mommy, why are you crying?" Clara quickly wiped her face. "Nothing, love. Go back to your room." "But, now, Lily." The girl left, frightened. Ethan stood up. "Give me a chance to fix it, please." "There's no fixing this." "There is. Let me show you." The next morning, Clara had barely slept. She stayed up all night thinking, processing, deciding what to do. Ethan knocked on the bedroom door early. "Clara, can I come in?" "It's open." He entered carrying a document folder and something else in his hand. "I spent the night sorting some things out. Ethan, just listen to me." "Please." She crossed her arms but didn't interrupt him. Ethan placed the folder on the bed. "I paid off all your debts, the overdue rent, the eviction fees, everything." Clara looked at the folder. "You didn't have to." "Yes, I did. And there's more." He held out his hand. In it, a key. "The apartment is yours again. I spoke with the management this morning. Everything has been regularized. Your things are still there. Nothing was discarded." Clara looked at the key as if it were a mirage. "This isn't a favor, Clara. This isn't charity. It's reparation. It's the least I can do after what I caused." "Ethan, this is too much money." "I have money, more than I need, and none of this will erase what I did, but at least you and Lily will have a home." Clara took the key with trembling hands. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. Just accept it." She looked at him, at the guilt in his eyes, at the weight he was carrying. "You really didn't know?" "I swear I didn't. But that doesn't absolve me. I should have known. I should have checked. I should have thought about the people." Lily entered the room, still in her pajamas. "Are we leaving?" Clara knelt down in front of her daughter. "We're going back to our home, love." "Our real home. Our real home." Lily looked at Ethan. "Is Uncle Ethan coming with us?" The silence was painful. Ethan knelt down too. "Not this time, little one. But we'll see each other again, I promise." "Why, I don't want to leave here." "I know, but you two need your own space." Lily hugged him tightly. Ethan closed his eyes, hugging her back. An hour later, the three of them were in Ethan's car. The drive was silent. Lily looked out the window. Clara held the key. Ethan drove, lost in thought. They arrived at the building, the same building they had been evicted from. Clara felt a tightness in her chest. They climbed the 3 steps. Ethan used the key and opened the main door. They went up to the 3rd floor. In front of the apartment door, Clara hesitated. Is everything still there? It is, I confirmed with the management. She put the key in the lock. Turned it. The door opened. Everything was exactly as she remembered. The worn but comfortable sofa, the curtains she had sewn herself, the low table with crayon marks, the marks on the wall where Lily measured her height. The drawings were still stuck on the refrigerator, their clothes neatly stored in boxes in the bedroom, Lily's toys in their usual place. As if time had stopped, Lily ran in. Mommy, my toys are here. She picked up an old teddy bear and hugged it tight. I thought I lost you. Clara walked in slowly, touching the objects, the table, the sofa, the curtains. Everything still there. Everything still theirs. The tears came in silence. No sobs. Just streaming down her face as she absorbed everything. Ethan stood in the doorway, watching, seeing what he had almost destroyed, seeing the home he had almost erased. Lily ran through the apartment, rediscovering every corner, laughing, happy. Clara sat on the sofa and covered her face with her hands. Ethan approached slowly. Clara. She looked up, her face wet. Thank you for bringing us back. I had to do it, I know, but still, thank you. Ethan sat beside her, keeping a respectful distance. I won't ask you to forgive me. I don't expect it, but I want you to know that this changed me. How? I spent years seeing projects as numbers, demolitions as progress, profit as success. But you showed me the real cost of all that. He looked at Lily playing with her toys. How many doors like this did I close without knowing? How many stories did I interrupt with a signed contract? How many families like theirs did I destroy without even realizing it? Clara saw the genuine pain on his face. You didn't do it on purpose, but I did it through negligence. And that's almost worse. He stood up, walking to the window. They are here, in this situation, because of me. And how many more aren't? How many people will I never meet, never be able to help? How many Claras are out there that I destroyed and will never know? Lily ran up to Ethan and tugged on his pants. Bid Uncle Ethan, are you staying for dinner? He looked at Clara, waiting for her answer. I think Ethan needs to go, love, Lily pouted. But I'm going to miss you. Ethan knelt down. Me too, but we'll see each other again, I promise. When? Soon. He hugged the girl. Then he stood up and looked at Clara. If you need anything at all. Call me, she nodded. Thank you, Ethan, for everything. Thank you for opening my eyes. He walked to the door. He stopped, looking back one last time, at the small apartment full of life, at Lily surrounded by toys, at Clara sitting on the sofa that was the center of their world. Take care. You too. He left, closing the door gently. In the hallway, Ethan stopped. He rested his forehead on the cold wall and took a deep breath. The weight on his chest was crushing. He had caused that, not directly, not intentionally, but he had caused it. His name was on the contract. His signature had authorized the demolition. How many other names did he not know? How many other families? He slowly descended the stairs. Each step seemed heavier than the last. He got into the car but didn't start the engine immediately. He just sat there, looking at the building. Up above, in the third-floor window, he saw a light come on. He saw Lily's silhouette passing by. They were home, safe, with a roof over their heads, with their things. But it didn't change the fact that he had been the one responsible for taking all that away from them first. I spent my whole life building buildings, but how many lives did I destroy in the process? He started the car and drove home. The house that now seemed absurdly empty. No drawings on the refrigerator, no laughter, no Lily running through the hallways. No nightly conversations with Clara. He walked in and the silence was deafening. He went to the refrigerator. Lily's drawing was still there. My family, written in crooked letters. He touched the paper carefully. It had only been a week, 7 days. But it had changed everything. He could no longer sign contracts without thinking. He could no longer see projects just as numbers. He could no longer ignore the people behind the demolitions. Clara and Lily had names, faces, stories, And how many others didn't? How many would remain invisible? He picked up his phone and opened his work contacts. He started making a mental list of all active projects, of all the places that were scheduled for demolition. He had to check. He had to know. He had to ensure there were no more families being destroyed without adequate warning. He couldn't undo the past. He couldn't erase what he had already done, but he could change the future. He sat at the kitchen table and started working. Calls, emails, checks. He worked late into the night, investigating every project, every planned demolition, and when he finally went to sleep, at 4 in the morning, he had a list of 15 families that needed to be properly relocated. 15 families he wouldn't leave on the street. He wasn't going to fix everything. He wasn't going to erase years of negligence, but it was a start. And maybe, just maybe, he could look in the mirror again without feeling so much shame. He closed his eyes, exhausted. The last thing he thought about before falling asleep was Lily's smile when she found her toys again. At least one family was whole again. At least one story had a better ending. It was little, but it was something. And for now, it had to be enough. Ethan parked in the garage and turned off the engine. He sat there for a long moment, his hands still on the steering wheel, looking at the door that led into the house. He didn't want to go in. He knew what he was going to find. Or rather, what he wasn't going to find. He took a deep breath and finally got out of the car. He opened the door, turned on the light. The house was exactly as he had left it in the morning. Nothing had changed. Every object in its place, every piece of furniture in the same position, everything organized, clean, perfectly tidy, but it was completely different. Ethan closed the door behind him, and the sound echoed in the silence. Silence. That was the problem. The damned silence. He slowly took off his shoes and walked through the living room. He looked at the sofa where Lily used to sit and draw. Empty. He looked at the coffee table where she scattered colored pencils. Clean. He went to the kitchen. The table where the three of them had dinner together every night was empty. No plates, no glasses, no conversations. The stove where Clara made tea. Cold. The chair where Lily swung her legs, always excited. Empty. Ethan opened the refrigerator without thinking, looking for something to eat. He wasn't hungry, but he needed to do something with his hands. It was then that he saw it. The drawing, still stuck there, in the center of the refrigerator door. 3 stick figures holding hands. The huge yellow sun. The house in the background. My family. Written in large, crooked letters. He stood still, looking. He slowly reached out and touched the paper. His fingers traced the simple lines Lily had drawn so carefully. A week ago, this drawing had appeared. A week ago, the house had voices, laughter, life. 1 week. That's all. 7 days. How could 7 days change everything? Ethan closed the refrigerator without grabbing anything. He wasn't hungry anyway. He went up the stairs. Each step echoed in the oppressive silence. He passed the guest room. The door was open. He looked inside. The bed was made, the sheets clean and tucked in, pillows arranged, everything perfectly in order. But he could still see Lily sleeping there, wrapped in the too big blanket. He could still hear her soft breathing. He could still feel their presence in the room. Ghosts. The house was full of ghosts of moments lived. He closed the bedroom door and went to his own. He changed clothes, brushed his teeth, lay down. The bed was large, comfortable, the same as always. But it seemed bigger now, emptier. He lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling. The house was silent, completely silent. Before Clara and Lily, he had never noticed the silence. It was just normal. It was how it had always been. He lived alone. Of course it was silent, but now the silence had weight. It had presence. It filled every room like something palpable and suffocating. What's missing here isn't noise. Ethan turned on his side, looking at the window. It's people. It's presence. He had lived alone for years. He always preferred it that way. No complications, no responsibility for other people, No need to adjust for anyone. It was easier, simpler, safer. But now the loneliness hurt in a way it never had before, because now he knew how different it was, how it felt to have someone waiting when you came home, how it felt to hear laughter coming from the living room, how it felt to sit down to dinner and have company, how it felt to matter and to be important to someone. Lily called him Uncle Ethan, with that natural ease of children, as if he had always been a part of her life. Clara talked to him for real, without masks, without pretenses, just raw, vulnerable honesty. They had trusted him, and he had been the one responsible for destroying their lives in the first place. Ethan closed his eyes, but sleep wouldn't come. He lay there in the dark, listening to the silence where before there was the sound of the TV Lily watched, the silence where before there was Clara humming softly as she washed dishes, the silence where before there was life. He got up. He couldn't stay in bed. He went back down to the kitchen, made coffee, even though it was almost midnight, sat at the table with the warm mug in his hands. He looked around, everything in its place, everything clean, everything perfectly organized, everything empty. This house had been enough for so long, a place to sleep, to eat, to exist, but it wasn't a home. It never had been. Clara and Lily had turned it into a home in just 1 week, with drawings on the refrigerator, with conversations at night, with their simple presence, and now they were gone, back to their own home. The small apartment he had almost erased from their existence. Ethan took a sip of the coffee. It was bitter. He picked up his phone. He looked at the screen. He wanted to send a message, to ask if they were okay, if they needed anything, but he didn't send it. They needed space. They needed to process everything. They needed to adjust back to their own routine. And he needed to deal with what he had discovered about himself, about the years of negligence, about the lives he had affected without even realizing it, about the man he had become, a man who saw numbers instead of people, who saw progress instead of destruction, who saw profit instead of homes. Clara had changed that. She had put a face to the statistics, a name to the contracts, a story to the projects, and he would never be able to sign a contract again without thinking about the people behind it. Ethan finished his coffee and washed the mug, dried it, put it away in the cupboard. He returned to the living room, sat on the sofa, picked up the remote but didn't turn on the TV. He just sat there, in the silence that now had a name, that now had a form: loneliness. He had lived alone by choice, but choice and loneliness were not the same thing. You could choose to be alone and still not feel lonely, but now he understood the difference. And it hurt. It hurt in a dull, constant way that he didn't know how to handle. He looked at the refrigerator from where he sat. He couldn't see the drawing from this distance, but he knew it was there. My family. 3 people holding hands. For 1 week, it had been true. For 1 week, he had been part of something bigger than himself, and now he was alone again. In the silent house, in the empty house, in the house that would never seem enough again. Ethan leaned his head on the sofa and closed his eyes. The silence echoed, and all he could think about was how much smaller the house seemed now, how much darker the room seemed, how everything seemed less life, less color, less meaning. They were only here for 1 week. How can 1 week make such a difference? But it had changed everything, and now he had to figure out how to live in this silence again, in this silence that now had a name: absence. 3 days passed since Clara and Lily returned to the apartment. 3 days of absolute silence from Ethan's side. Clara didn't know if he would appear again. Part of her thought perhaps it was better this way, a clean start, without complications, without the guilt constantly hanging in the air between them. But Lily asked about Uncle Ethan every day, without fail. "When are we going to see him again, Mommy?" "I don't know, love. He said he would visit us. He must be very busy with his work. But he promised." Clara didn't know what to answer. Children took promises very seriously. But on the morning of the 4th day, someone knocked on the door. Clara was making coffee, still in her pajamas, her hair tied in a messy bun. Lily was drawing at the small living room table, scattering colored pencils everywhere as she always did. "I'll get it," Lily shouted, jumping off the chair. "Lily, wait, look through the peephole first." The girl stood on tiptoes and looked through the small hole in the door. "It's Uncle Ethan." Clara's heart thumped uncontrollably. She quickly dried her hands on the dish towel and went to the door. Lily had already unlocked and fully opened it. Ethan was standing in the hallway, holding a large brown paper bag that smelled wonderfully good. Uncle Ethan! Lily literally jumped onto him, hugging his legs with all her might. Ethan almost dropped the bag, but managed to balance himself in time, genuinely laughing. "Hi, little one. Did you miss me?" "Very much. You took so long." "Sorry. I wanted to give you two some time to adjust back here." He looked up. Clara was standing in the doorway, her arms crossed, but there was a small relieved smile on her lips. "Hi. Hi." He held up the paper bag. "I brought breakfast. Fresh bread from the new bakery that opened 2 blocks from here. They say it's the best in the area." The smell reached Clara. Warm bread, melted butter, something sweet mixed in. She stepped away from the door. "Come in, please." Ethan walked in, still carrying Lily hanging onto his arm like a monkey. The girl laughed, completely happy. "I really missed it here," he said, looking around the small apartment. "The house. The company. You two." Clara felt her chest warm at those words. "Come, coffee is almost ready." The three of them sat at the small kitchen table. Ethan carefully took the bread out of the bag. It was still warm, smelling wonderfully of melted butter and fresh wheat. "There's chocolate bread," Lily shouted excitedly, grabbing the biggest piece. "I thought you would especially like that one," Ethan said, smiling. Lily bit into a huge piece and closed her eyes in pure pleasure. "It's so good." Ethan smiled, satisfied. Clara served coffee for herself and Ethan, and orange juice for Lily. They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes, just the sound of satisfied chewing and little sighs of contentment. "How are you two doing?" Ethan finally asked. "Good. Adjusting back. It's strange to be here again after everything, but it's good. It's our place." "And you, Lily? Did you like being back home?" "I liked it a lot. I found all my toys that I thought I lost, and my bed is more comfortable than I remembered, and my drawings were still on the fridge." "That's good. I'm very happy to hear that." He took a sip of his coffee, hesitant. "And how is the situation? Financially, I mean?" Clara looked at her own mug. "Stable. For now. With everything you paid off, we have about 2 months of cushion. But I need to find work soon. I can't rely on what you did forever." "About that?" Ethan leaned forward. "I have contacts. I know a lot of people in various fields. I can try to see if anyone is hiring, make some calls." "Ethan, you've done too much for us already. I want to help. Seriously." "Let me do this." Clara hesitated, biting her lip. "I don't want you to feel obligated." "I don't. I want to do it because I want to. Because you two matter to me. Truly." The words hung in the air between them. Lily looked between the two, sensing something she didn't fully understand, but which was good. "All right," Clara finally said. "If you know someone, I accept the help. Thank you." Ethan smiled, relieved. "I'll make some calls later today." And he did. That afternoon, Ethan called 7 different people, colleagues from work, acquaintances from old projects, college friends. He explained the situation without going into too much detail. Just that he knew someone hardworking, responsible, who needed a fair opportunity. On the 5th call, a friend named Sarah answered. "Ethan, it's been a while." "Sarah, hi, how are you?" "All good, and you? Since when do you call just to chat?" He laughed. "You know me too well. What do you need?" "Do you know anyone hiring? It's for a friend." "She's hardworking, learns quickly, just needs a chance." Sarah was quiet for a moment. "Actually, I'm looking for someone for the publishing house now. Editorial assistant. Nothing complex to start, but with room to grow." "Seriously?" "Seriously. Send me her contact. I'll set up an interview." "Sarah, you're amazing." "I know." "Now you owe me an expensive dinner." Deal. Ethan hung up and immediately called Clara. Hello? Clara, I have some news. Good or bad? Very good. A friend of mine has a vacancy at a publishing house. She wants to interview you. Silence on the other end. Clara, Seriously. I'll send you her contact right now. Ethan, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Just go there and show them how good you are. Thank you. Thank you so much. 2 days later, Clara had the interview. She was nervous, her hands sweating. Sarah was a woman in her 40s, grey hair, red-rimmed glasses, a genuine smile. So you're Ethan's friend? I am. He spoke very highly of you, said you're hardworking and reliable. I try to be. Sarah looked at the simple resume. You don't have experience in publishing. I don't, but I learn fast. And I'm organized. I worked 3 years in a bakery managing inventory, cash, customers. I know how to handle deadlines and pressure. Sarah nodded. The job is simple at first. Review basic texts, organize files, assist editors. The hours are flexible. Do you have a child? A 5-year-old daughter? Then flexibility is important. We understand that here. Several people on the team have children. Clara felt hope grow. When can you start? Are you offering me the job? Sarah smiled. Ethan wouldn't ask unless he trusted you, and I trust his judgment. So, yes, the job is yours if you want it. Clara almost cried. I want it. Very much. Great. Can you start next Monday? I can, thank you so much. Clara started at the publishing house the following Monday. The job was just as Sarah had described. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. The team was welcoming, the environment respectful, and for the first time in months, Clara felt useful again, valued, capable. The salary wasn't huge, but it was stable. Enough to pay the rent, the bills, and still have a little leftover. Lily went back to school, the same one as before. She reunited with her friends. She got back into a routine. Things were finally getting back to normal, better than normal. They were good. Ethan started visiting frequently, not every day, but several times a week. He brought small things, fresh bread, fruit, a new book for Lily. Sometimes he had dinner with them. Sometimes he just stopped by to see how they were doing. He never stayed long, but he always stayed long enough. One afternoon, 3 weeks after Clara started the job, Ethan showed up as usual. Lily opened the door, already used to it. Uncle Ethan, can you help me with something? Sure, what is it? I have homework. The teacher asked us to draw our family. Ethan hesitated for just a second. Of course. Let's see. Lily pulled him to the table. There were colored pencils scattered and an open notebook. I drew me and Mommy, but I don't know how to draw the rest. The rest? Yeah, you. Ethan looked at Clara, who was in the kitchen making tea. She had heard everything but pretended to be busy. You want to draw me? Of course. You're part of the family. Ethan sat beside her, his heart clenching. All right, let's draw then. He picked up a pencil and started helping carefully. He asked questions, suggested colors, guided Lily's small hand. Clara watched from the kitchen, leaning against the doorframe, asked with a silent smile. There was something profoundly right about that scene. Ethan and Lily sitting together, heads close, laughing softly as they drew, as if it had always been this way, as if it should always be this way. When they finished, Lily proudly held up the drawing. Done! There were 3 figures, Clara, Lily, and Ethan, holding hands, smiling. It's beautiful, Ethan said, sincere. I'm taking it to school tomorrow. She ran to her room to carefully put away the notebook. Ethan stood up and went to the kitchen. Clara served tea for both of them. Thank you, she said softly. For what? For being here, for always helping her, for everything. Ethan took a sip of the tea. I like being here. Really. My house is empty. There's life here. Clara looked at him with something soft in her eyes. You did more than help us, Ethan. What do you mean? You stayed. You didn't leave when you could have. The words were simple, but they carried immense weight. Ethan understood perfectly. And I don't plan to leave, not while you two want me to stay. Clara smiled, her eyes slightly shining. We really want you to stay. Lily came running back. Uncle Ethan, are you staying for dinner with us? He looked at Clara, waiting. Are you? She asked gently. If you want me to, I'll stay. We do. Then I'll stay. They had dinner together that night. They talked about the day. Lily told stories from school. Clara talked about work. Ethan shared a funny situation from the office. It was simple, normal, ordinary, but it was perfect. After dinner, Ethan helped wash the dishes while Clara dried. Lily watched cartoons on the sofa. How is the actual job? Ethan asked quietly. Better than I expected. Sarah is great. The team is welcoming. I feel respected. You deserve that. Thank you for helping me get it. You got it yourself. I just opened the door. Even so. They finished the dishes in comfortable silence. Ethan dried his hands. I think I should go. It's late. All right. He went to the living room. Lily, I'm heading out. She jumped off the sofa and hugged him tight. Are you coming back tomorrow? Not tomorrow, but soon. Promise. I promise. Clara walked him to the door. Drive carefully. I always do. He stopped at the door, looking at her. Clara? Yes. I know things started in a complicated way, with the truth about the project, all that, but I want you to know that this here is real for me. You two are important to me. Clara felt her heart race. You're important to us too. Even after everything, especially after everything, you could have left. You could have paid off the debts and never looked back. But you stayed. You cared. Ethan smiled. I can't imagine not being here. Then keep coming. I will keep coming. Always? He said goodbye and went down the stairs. Clara closed the door and leaned against it, smiling to herself. Lily appeared beside her. Do you like Uncle Ethan? Clara looked at her daughter. I do. What about you? I love him. He's nice. He is. Is he going to be our friend forever? Clara picked Lily up. I think so, love. I think so. And he was. Ethan became part of the routine, not every day but often. Dinners a couple of times a week, trips to the park on Saturdays, help with homework, no formal promises, no defined labels, no pressure, just presence. Constant, gentle, genuine. He was there when Lily had a fever. He was there when Clara had a tough day at work. He was there for the good times and the bad. Not as a hero, not as a savior, just as someone who cared. And that was all they needed. Someone who would stay, who wouldn't disappear when things got difficult, someone who chose to be present. Ethan had found something he didn't know he was looking for. A family that wasn't by blood but by choice. And Clara had found something she thought was impossible. Trust. Partnership. Someone she could really count on. Life wasn't perfect. There were still challenges. Bills to pay. Worries about the future. But they weren't alone anymore. And that made all the difference. The small apartment filled with new life. Laughter, conversations, drawings on the refrigerator. And somewhere in the middle of all this, 3 people found what everyone is looking for. A place to belong. And someone to belong with. One afternoon, while Ethan was helping Lily with her homework at the table, Clara watched from the kitchen as she prepared dinner. He was no longer just the man who helped. He was part of the routine. No promises, no labels. Just someone present. Ethan looked up and met Clara's gaze. She smiled. He smiled back. And in that simple moment, between homework and pots on the stove, they understood. Family wasn't just blood. It was choice. It was presence. It was staying when it was easier to leave, and they had chosen to stay together, just like that, and simply perfect. Lily finished her homework and showed it to Ethan. Look, is it pretty? It's perfect. She ran to show Clara. Ethan sat back, looking around the small apartment. The walls needed paint. The sofa was old. The table had marks. But it was full of life, of love, of belonging. And for the first time in a long time, he felt at home, not at his house. Here, with them. And there was nowhere in the world he would rather be. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. Leave a like because it helps this story get recommended to more people. See you in the next story.